So, quick rundown of the CAGED system. Okay, so what is the CAGED system? Let's think open chords first of all. A lot of people who are just starting or are wherever they're at, they know C. So let's take the letters of CAGED. C-A-G-E-D. C-A-G-E-D. Now, if you perfect or work on the CAGED system, what it means is I can take this C shape and make it any major chord. I can make it a C sharp major chord, D major chord with that shape, E major, F sharp major, A major, back up to C major. So there's a shape for that. There's 5 of them for the major and kind of 3 for minor. So let's look at C first. Now if we analyze this from A to E, well, the chord is C, E, G, root, major third, perfect fifth, C, E, G, C, octave, E, major third again. But now think about this. There are 2 strings open. The G and the B, the G and the E are open. So we're going to use this C chord in the CAGED system, the C of the CAGED system, to make, let's pick an E chord. And I have tools attached. So we're going to look at the first tool that I have attached. It's your fretboard, all the notes on your fretboard. So you have to know where your root is. So the root is the lowest note you're playing. C here. Like I said, G and E are open. So what if we were to move this up? I have to know how to move this C to an E. So I know C, C sharp or D flat, D, D sharp or E flat, and then there's E. But now we have to account for those open strings by barring. So think about it. 3, 2, 0, 1, 0, 7, 6, 4, 5, 4. The math makes sense, but now we have to bar because we don't have the luxury of the open strings. So this gives you a lot of inversions. Bobby, this is one of Bobby's favorites. And this is one of the ways people rarely play major chords. It's almost always this shape, the E shape, or the H shape. You never hear. So does that make sense? C? We have to compensate for those open, or let's just move it up a fret. So if we moved everything up a fret, 3 goes to 4. Now we have to use our pinky. 2 goes to 3. But now that open note has to be pushed down. So 4, 3, 1, 2, 1. What is that? C sharp major. So you're going to look at the thing I posted. The first thing is the notes on the neck. All you have to do for that C shape is find the root that matches. So let's do something weird like G. So we gotta find our G on, so we're using the C shape still. We gotta find our G on the A string. I like to think backwards sometimes. I know this at 12th fret is an octave. A, it repeats here, right? So if I go down, G is a whole step or 2 frets away from A. So that's our root. And the shape, remember, those 2 open strings, it'd be like this. Imagine, you know what I'm saying. So then we move it up to the 10th fret, because that's where the root of G is. And if you really want to get like Bobby, you don't even really need that root note, because Phil, or the bass player, O'Teal, whoever's playing bass, just like in jazz, the root and the fifth don't matter as much as the major third, and you know, the major third and your extensions, your 7ths, your 13ths, and your 11ths, or if you have augmented sharp fifths or diminished flat fifths, those are the notes that matter. So like Bob Weir said he was in his movie really inspired by John Coltrane as the lead player, Jerry, and him as McCoy Tyner. And in jazz, the accompaniment whoever's accompanying the soloist, they don't really want to play the root note. They want to make the chords and extensions cool. They don't want to play the root note always. So we can play that G just like that. And isn't it weird how you can kind of see the D shape in there? Okay, so that's C, CAGED, then A. Same concept. We know an open A, 0, 2, 2, 2, 0 from the A to E string. That's where you get these chords. I usually play them without, you can always either do that to get that'd be the fifth, but like I said, you don't really need the fifth. Like Bertha, I hear, you don't really hear them playing that, or Bob Weir playing that note. But that's an A shape nonetheless. Think of the A like this, 0, 2, 2, 2. Let's not think of the high E string. So let's make it a B chord, up 2 frets, A sharp, or B flat, then B. So we go up 2 frets. So we know this has to be moved up 2 frets, but that open note also has to be moved up 2 frets. So that's why now we're barring, or like I said, you can play like that, but that's the A of the CAGED system. So how would we do that with F, or let's think of F. So like I said, know your fretboard. I know F, I know this is an E because if you play an open E, low open E, 7 on the next string for most strings except the G and B are an octave. So now I can do E like that, and I can go into that G shape we were just talking about. So C, A, CAGED, G, then G. We have G. And we're thinking of the G where you don't have both these on. We're thinking G, B, D. Yeah, G, B, D, root, major third, fifth, root, major third, root. So how do we move that up? So always know your root note. On that A1, and on A and C, the root note is on the A string. Now our root note is on the low E string. So let's change this into some weird chord. B flat major. So how are we going to do that? B flat, to get from G to B flat, we have to go up a minor third, or 1, 2, 3 frets. But now we have to compensate for those open strings. So you're going to end up using your pinky a lot, just like that C shape. So if we add 3 plus 3, 6, 2 plus 3, 5, so far we have, and then we have zeros, remember, in the middle of the G chord, on the G, on the D, G, B, we have to move those up 3. So now we have 6, 5, 3, 3. That's often how it's played. You can skip the high E string, because it's just an octave anyways. Like I said, the root note, it just doesn't really matter. Or you could kind of do this stretch, add the 3 here too, and B flat major, C major. So basically the CAGED system is showing you 5 shapes that you can turn into any major chord. There's so many ways to play one chord. Let's take D for example. D, 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 D. Let's see. D, 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 D. You know, there are D. There's so many ways to play it, and Bob Weir always plays everything differently. So we covered C, A, G. Now here's E. That's our famous, most used major one. This and the A, I say, are the most used because it's... So let's move this one up to... Let's do something a little different. To B. My dog just came in the room. Say hi, Sophie. This is Sophie. She wants to say hi. Hello, baby. Okay. But now our root is on the low E string. So let's go from an E to a B major. We already know we can do B major like this with the A shape, moving everything up 2 frets. Or a whole step is 2 frets, a half step, 1 fret. So, and if you look at the tools I showed, if there's an X above the diagram, it means that you don't play that note. So you look for the lowest note, and that's your root note. For E major, it's this low E. So where is B on that string? You can literally count up, get used to E, F, G, A, B. And we had 0, 2, 2, 1, 0, 0. So now we're going to have to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to all of them. Or you could subtract 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whatever works, you could go down from E to B. But so, if we add 7 to all of them, 0 plus 7, 7. 2 plus 7, we have 2 9s. 1 plus 7, 8. And then 2 7s on top. So you can play any major chord with that E shape. Think about, instead of playing your E like this, playing it like this and acting like you're going to bar. Because look, E, then if we were to go up to F, not quite right until you add the bar. F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A flat, okay, CAGED, D. This one's the weirdest one. And it's funny because you can see it in the C shape. When I played that C shape and I did it and you do it for a D chord, or let's say an E chord, on top you have that D chord. D, up 2 frets, E. So this one would be D. Let's move it up to an F. Now we already did 3 frets. Let's do 6 frets. What would that be? So we have G sharp. So how do we do that? Well, this one's weird, like I said. It would be, you add everything by, oh, we did do everything, add everything by 6. But you get the concept by now. You take it and you find the next root note you want. So say you want to make this D major I'm just trying to think of random chords. You want to make this an F. I had to add, so D to F. You have to think D to F. D, D sharp, E, or we wouldn't count the D sharp. So the D. D to D sharp, 1 to E, 2 to F, 3. 3 frets. Move everything up 3 frets. Open string moved up 3 frets. The rest moved up 3 frets. Gives you 3, 5, 6, 5. And see, the cool thing about the CAGED system is it gives you the chords with the intervals arranged in different ways. The C one is root, major third, fifth, root, or octave, major third. This D one is root, perfect fifth. I'm sorry, root, yeah, perfect fifth, root, major third. So they all have different, and for minor, it's the same thing. A minor. I think of kind of like the A major thing. We want to make this B flat minor. So I think about it like this again. Change the way you play it just to understand. Everything must go up 1 fret. So I can't just move these fingers up 1 fret because the open notes have to go up 1 fret. B flat minor. B minor. And of course, E minor. If we change the way we play that and act like we were to bar it. Now let's make that a C minor. Where's C on this string? You can count down, like I said. E, D, C. Always remember that. Think of a piano. There are two spots in every octave where there's no black key in between. So B to C, there's no really B sharp or C flat. There is in jazz. It makes sense. Sometimes you need that, but theoretically, B and C and E and F are the only 2 sets of notes that don't have a sharp or flat between them. So think about that, E to F, and the rest of them have a whole step between them. So where was I at? A minor, and then do it with the D minor chord. the D minor and the D major, I recommend doing the top 3 strings. So if we want to make this D minor and just do 2, 3, 2, 5th, A, root, D, or octave, minor 3rd. See how major 3rd just goes down to minor 3rd, moves down a half step? Make it an E minor. How do you move from D to E? D, or D, you don't count the first one, D sharp, E, up 2 frets. You have an E minor. Cool. So, but really, when we play D minor, we have this open string. So let's challenge ourselves. So we'd have to add that in too. So what would it be? We had to go up 2, so we have to move that open string up 2. But I'll emphasize that you really don't need the root note. Bobby often doesn't play it, you know, or he does, but Phil, the bass player's got the root note and the 5ths. What really, I mean, you can imply the 5th, like, that sounds like G major. You don't need the 5th, unless it's going to be like a diminished chord, or half diminished chord, minor 7 flat 5, or an augmented that raises or lowers the 5th, doesn't really matter. So we have those 3 shapes for minor, and then that D shape, D minor shape, and then E minor is just our typical, I'd say those 2 are the most used for minor. There's only 3 for minor, 5 for major. The E minor CAGED system thingy, the A minor CAGED system thingy. And I did it in reverse there. See, I played A minor with the E minor. Move it up, everything up a fit, 5 frets, but I have to compensate for that open. That's what I'm really trying to stress. So yeah, just learn your fretboard. And I added a page in there to help you practice. It says major scale CAGED shapes, so you can practice arpeggios too. So I don't play a C major 7. Really get to know your fretboard. What's cool about guitar as opposed to piano is you don't have to, transposing is really easy. So I can, if I want to make this a D, move it up 2 frets, D major 7. Whoops. So hope this was helpful. I'm gonna do I was gonna do a lesson on modes too, but I don't want to overwhelm everybody. But you can do this with 7th chords too. E7, G7, or you could do that. Possibilities are endless, and it's not limited to these 5 major CAGED shapes or these 3 minor CAGED shapes. You can make chords so many ways. Like, I like playing D like this, which contradicts what I said, but it goes to show you the rules, music theory is meant to be broken. You want to really subconsciously sit down like Jerry did or Bob did and practice and really think about it. And then when you get up on stage or you play, all that goes out the window because you've subconsciously engraved all that shit in your brain. So sit down and practice and like really think. That way when you get up on stage, it's effortless. Hope you guys have a good day, a good night. Peace and love.